sons. It's written in these children's books also. Once there was a simple Jew, and he eked out a living by with his horse and wagon. He had these two really fine, strong horses, and he had this old sort of rickety wagon. And with this, he would take people places, and sometimes he would make, he would haul things from one place to another. He barely got along in life. He had like 5 children, 10 children, and he barely got along, but he got along, and he was thankful to God. One day there was a terrible snowstorm, terrible snowstorm. It happened suddenly when he was on the road, and it was snowing, and there was, as he was driving along the road, suddenly he heard just one second, I just remembered something. 1 second. So, okay. Suddenly he heard somebody, he's over the noise, it seemed that he heard somebody screaming or something. So there was a blizzard, he could barely see. And he looked over at the side, and there he sees somebody standing in the road. It was amazing they didn't run over him. And this person was like sunk up to his knees in mud or in snow, whatever. Anyway, so he grabbed a hold of this person, and he pulled him up, sat him next to him, took out a blanket, an extra blanket, wrapped him up, and they finally made it to some place. And they warmed up by the stove, and the man said, "You saved my life. I'm so happy." And he looked and he saw it was a religious Jew. And not just a religious Jew, it was Rabbi Moshe of Sasov, the Sasover Rebbe. Very holy person, he was very known in those places. So this person said, "Oh, Rebbe, thank you." The Rebbe said, "I want to pay you. You saved my life." He said, a blessing has to rest on something. Do you have anything in your house that's worth anything? He says, "My wife, my children." He said, No. Any belongings? He said, "Not really. The house is really not worth anything. I don't think anybody with nothing whatsoever." He said, "Well, I do have my 2 horses. Really good horses. They really serve me very well." So the rabbi said, "Good. One of them will be for Purim and one of them for Pesach." And he said, "Oh, thank you, Rebbe. Thank you so much. One of them for Purim, one of them, thank you, Rebbe. Thank you." Rebbe said, "It's nothing. I thank you. You saved my life." He drove home, and he told his wife after the storm started, he says, "You won't believe what happened." He said, "I saved the life of Rabbi Moshe of Sasov." Oh, his wife said, "That's amazing. It's fantastic. Did he give you a blessing?" He said, "Wow, he really gave me a blessing." He said he blessed the 2 horses, that one will be, listen to this blessing, a blessing. One will be for Purim and one will be for Pesach. And his wife said, "That's wonderful." And his wife said, "But what does it mean?" He said, "I have no idea. I have no idea what it means. I don't know." But he just said it in such a way. I don't know. Well, it so happened that about a week before Purim, so his wife went out to feed these 2 beautiful horses that they had. And she went out and saw that there was, one of the horses was white and the other one was brown. And she came back in and said to her husband, "Listen, the white horse that we've got." He said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, listen, he's like laying on his back, and one eye is looking over here and one eye is looking over there, and his legs are like stiff." He said, "What do you mean? Do you mean he's dead?" I said, "Listen, I didn't say it. You were the one that said it." But he goes outside and he sees his horse is dead. So, well, what's he going to do? So he talks to his friends. His friend said, "Listen, what can you do? Don't bury it. You can sell the meat. People buy it for dogs. And you can sell the skin, but some people use that also. And you can sell the hair from the tail and from the mane. And you can, good." So he does it and he gets some money. And the money that he gets, so he invites everybody to his house and makes a big Purim meal and gives money to the poor. Matanot levionim. and he sends gifts to his friends. Wonderful Purim. The next, about a week or two before Pesach is like a month after Purim, right? So his wife goes out in the black horse, feeds the horses, comes back and tells her husband, you remember what happened to the white horse? He says, yeah, well, the black one is, he's also laying on his back. His feet are stiff up. One eye is there. He says, oh, the black one died also. He said, yeah, you said it. I didn't say it. He goes out in the black. Now he already knows the market a little bit. So he gets more money for the black one than he got from the other one. And he makes a beautiful Passover holiday. 7 days, all the poor people are eating by his house on the night of the Seder. And he gives charity to people. Finally, after the whole thing is finished, so he hasn't got any horses anymore. So what's he going to do? So his wife says, maybe go around this town and ask if there's some odd jobs you can do. So he goes around and everybody in the town are tremendously poor. There's no odd jobs. So he asks his wife to give him a couple loaves of bread, and he'll set off on it, walk in, maybe he'll find work. And so it is. He sets off and he walks. The first night he stops off at this sort of inn, and he sits in a corner, and he's got a little bit of money from what he had from before, and he left most of the money with his wife. And he hears these two people yelling and screaming. These two Gentiles are sitting in the corner. They're yelling and screaming. He's an idiot. The man is insane. I hope he drops dead. This is awful. He's cruel. He's awful. So he has nothing to do. So he goes over to those two Gentiles, and he says, "Excuse me, what's all the yelling? What's going on?" And they say, "Wow, what do you mean? What is it?" We work for this landlord, and the landlord, the Baron. And he's a maniac. The man is a maniac. He's a sadistic person. And every couple weeks, he wants a new manager for his lands. He's got these sprawling lands, hundreds of acres of lands with houses, and there's a big mill there and a big this. But anyone who comes, he hates him. And he put it on us that we have to find a new person, a new manager. And this repeats itself like every 2 weeks, every month, every 2 months. New manager. And he whips us and he hits us if we don't find the right person. We don't know what to do. We're out of our mind. We've already brought him. So the Jew says, hey, you know what? I'll try it. He says, what are you going to try? What are you going to try? He says, maybe I can be the manager. They look at each other and they say, oh, wow. A manager. You're going to be a manager. First of all, this Baron, he hates everybody, and especially he hates Jews. He hates Jews with a passion. He can't stand to see a Jew. You can't even mention the word Jew in his house. He goes off. I'm telling you, the man is a maniac. It's crazy. He says, okay, listen, you got nothing to lose. Just come and say that I pushed myself on you. He says, listen, maybe we can disguise you so you don't look like a Jew. He says, no, I'm not going to disguise myself. I'll go. If it works, it'll work. If it doesn't work, it won't work. So they say, okay, we'll say that you're crazy and that you force yourself. Yeah. So they bring him to the manager, to the Baron. The Baron, first he looks and he says, what is this are you bringing me? What is this? And they said, maybe a manager. And he says, a manager, you're bringing me a Jew. A Jew, you're bringing me a Jew. So this Jew says, what would you rather, that they brought you a pickle? And the manager says, a pickle? That's a joke. Oh, that's a good joke. And he starts to laugh. First time in his life he ever laughed. Pickle, that's a real joke. Wow, that is a real joke. He said, yes, and next I'm going to be able to tell you a camel. He says, a camel. And he says, this is great. Wow, maybe I misjudged the Jews. The two men can't figure out what's going on. He said, this is fantastic. I feel good. First time in my life. You know what? I'll give you a chance to be the manager. I'll give you a chance. So he gives him a chance, and it works. Suddenly, he's an excellent manager. And he becomes friendly with all the people. And everybody likes him. And he tells how to improve everybody and makes work easier for everyone. And all the non-Jews are bringing their friends to work and their families to work. And the Baron says, listen, I made a big mistake about the Jewish people. I think I made a big mistake about people in general. You know what? You can bring all of your friends here. I'll build you a synagogue. I'll do anything you want. And sure enough, that was the Jew became really rich. And suddenly he understood that that was the blessing that the Rebbe gave to him. One for Purim and one for Pesach. If those horses would not have died, then he would still be a wagon driver eking out a poor few pennies every month. So sometimes what seems to us to be the worst is really better than the best. Be together 3 o'clock. See you, everyone. Shalom.